What's up everybody, it's Wabachaw, and in this video I want to give you a quick overview of the Poison Siege Ballista build in the Essence Hardcore League and the uniques I'm using in my gem setup and my passive tree. All of this stuff will be visible in the description below. I'll have a link to my account with my character name, and then also a link to the passive tree that I am using. So first, let's go ahead and start with the uniques. Iron Commander, pretty clearly. Starconia's Head, I'm going to be using this over Devoto's Devotion. A Drill Neck, also pretty obvious because it gives you 100% increased projectile damage thanks to Siege Ballista always piercing. And then finally, Shaper's Touch unique gloves. These at 800 dex give me 200 life, and once I reach 1000 dex, which I'm going to be going for, they're going to give me 250 life. These give you a lot of stats that you pretty much need for your build. Even the 1 mana per 4 strength isn't even that bad because you do cast this on mana. So those are going to be the uniques. The rares are things that you just want to craft or buy with as much dexterity as possible. If you craft it, you need to use Deafening Essences of Sorrow. You can use Shrieking Essences of Sorrow if you want, but Deafening Essences of Sorrow are pretty inexpensive. Throw those on some leather belts. Get something like this. As much life as possible, dex, as much resist as possible as well. I'm going to be crafting some more stuff as well. Then for your rings, your endgame rings are going to be steel rings because they give you so much flat damage in the implicit. However, in the meantime, you could use something like this. Life, mana, dex. You're probably going to need some intelligence and some physical damage as well. Both rings are pretty much the same. And then your amulet is going to be something that you want to give as much dexterity as well. Also, a little bit of strength and intelligence will help this build out quite a bit. And your boots, again, straightforward. Life, movement speed, dex, resist. I would actually suggest using 2-tone boots to help your resist a little bit, because resist can be a little hard to come by with this gear overall. And then as for your chest piece, either a rare chest piece will work, like this. I use an Essence of Horror on this, and the Essence of Horror gave me that 15% of physical damage taken as cold damage. Or you could use something like Queen of the Forest, Kintsugi. You could also technically use a Lightning Coil, but that's going to be really hard on your resists. And then what else could you use? Yeah, I'm sure there's some other things I'm forgetting, but we're moving on. So as for your gem setup, with Siege Ballista, you're going to be using a faster attacks, added chaos, slower projectiles, and poison. This is what you could use on a 5-link. If you don't want to, or if you have a 5-link and you don't have your full ascendancies, you would swap your slower projectiles out with increased critical strikes. And as soon as you get all of your ascendancy passives on a 5-link, and you go Deadly Infusion, you just could drop increased critical strikes, because on the passive tree, we're grabbing a power charge, and you're getting your power charge from Alira and Merciless. As for your 6th link, it is pretty optional. You could do Void Manipulation, you could do Pierce, you could do Culling Strike, and on bosses where you can't poison or bleed, you would be dropping poison for either any one of these 3 anyway. So this can be very, very budget, especially once you have all your Ascendancy passives and you don't need a 6-link like me. Obviously, you're going to deal a lot of damage if you have a 6-link with this setup, especially with something like Void Manipulation or even Culling Strike in this setup. Your other gem setup is going to be a Frenzy with GMP, Power Charge on crit, and then you could throw a Curse on Hit setup in here, or if you don't want to do a Curse on Hit setup in here, you could do increased critical strikes. This will make it easier to maintain your power charges. And if you do get a second 6-link, this is what I would use. A Curse on Hit setup linked with this. With the curse, doesn't necessarily have to be projectile weakness. It could be Enfeeble, Tempt Chains, Vulnerability, Assassin's Mark, or projectile weakness. Any one that you want. I think I would actually kind of prefer projectile weakness in certain situations, because it's also going to give you knockback as well, which helps your defenses a little bit. So that's that. Then a basic cast when damage taken setup with Immortal Call, Enduring Cry. We're using Purity of Elements right now, Herald of Ice, and Clarity. Both Purity of Elements and Herald of Ice is something that I plan on dropping eventually, either for a Blasphemy setup or just some other aura setup. I don't necessarily know what. I'm also leveling a Purity of Ice, so I could use this for the Shaper encounter whenever I get there, because he deals a lot of cold damage. For the passive tree, you're going to be doing something pretty much like this. You could go full acrobatics if you want. I'm going the full Scion Life Wheel. Totemic Zeal is very important for you. Using a Fluid Motion Jewel down here gives you 84 dexterity, which is really, really key for this build, because you are getting the dexterity from these two strength nodes, and you're getting dexterity from Master of the Arena and Fury Bolts over here. Cloth and Chain is something that I anticipate dropping soon enough. Survivalist is something that I'm considering, especially in the Shaper encounter, because of that 1% maximum cold resist. And then other than that, it is pretty straightforward. Because I'm going Assassin, I am going to inherently have more crit. So instead of going something like Heartseeker, I am going to be going this Aspect of the Eagle over here, which gives me a little bit more attack speed and a little bit more movement speed and life and just accuracy. I think this is better overall, but something that you could play around with as well. This pathing right here is not necessary. It doesn't actually add another totem for me. What it does though is it saves 2 passive points. So because of this, this is something that I'm probably going to keep. If anything, I'll grab this one, but I won't bother grabbing these because I want as much dexterity as possible, and we want to get to 1000 dexterity. Another thing that you don't necessarily have to do is you don't have to come up here and grab Cold-Hearted Calculation. You can grab this node right here and grab Nullification and Sniper, or you can do that and go through Assassination. That's, again, this is personal preference. You don't necessarily need to do that. Your jewels, you're going to be using a Rain of Splinters jewel. You're also going to be using a Fluid Motion jewel down here, as I had already mentioned. And then your other jewels can just pretty much consist of life and dexterity, whatever it takes to get you to that next breakpoint of dexterity. If you're at 1016 dexterity, you don't need a jewel with 16 dexterity on it. But if you're at 966 dexterity, you also don't really need a jewel with 16 dexterity on it, because you're not getting another totem out of it. Technically, I don't even really need the 16 dexterity on this jewel right now, but I purchased it and I have it, so it's whatever. So these are the things that you should know about Poison Assassin Siege Ballista. And real quickly, let's just talk about the Ascendancy. I do not have all my Ascendancy points yet. I will be getting them very, very soon, but I am going to be going Deadly Infusion. But if you don't want to go Deadly Infusion, you can go Assassinate. Assassinate means that you would have to run increased critical strikes in your gem setup, and you could probably just stick with a more traditional 3 power charge setup with additional frenzy charges. It's all up to you. You could go either way. Both of these are going to be pretty good. Deadly Infusion is just going to be better for power charge generation and maintaining them, and then Assassinate is going to be just a more passive playstyle. You could do either one with this build. It's up to you. So yeah, if you have any questions, you could ask me in the comments section down below. I will be making a forum guide for this build very, very soon, probably as soon as I get to about level 90, and I'm going to be practicing Shaper on Standard with my version of this build on Standard, so I could do it in the Essence Hardcore League. I'm really looking forward to this build. It has a lot of damage, it has a lot of potential, and I think I'm going to have a lot of survivability as well. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you have any questions or comments, and yeah, follow me on Twitter at waba, and I'll see you guys later.